record to 65-66. The lone win for Houston was on Friday, 4-0. Next up is a road series against the New York Yankees, and it won't begin until Tuesday evening. The New Orleans Saints lost their second preseason game 34-0 to the Los Angeles Rams inside SoFi Stadium. Nothing was executed correctly by the black and gold as they turned the ball over 4 times, including a pick 6, were penalized 12 times for 96 yards, and had just 13 first downs on the day. Speaking of the Saints, they traded linebacker Deion Jones to the San Francisco 49ers in exchange for running back Zamir White. History is likely to be made as Cleveland Browns tight end Daquan Wright was waived on Sunday. If he clears waivers, he will be the first pro player to return to college and would commit to play for the LSU Tigers, who are less than 2 weeks away from their season opener versus Clemson. Former LSU Tiger pitcher Cade Anderson made his Major League debut for the Seattle Mariners on Saturday. The national champion southpaw allowed 5 hits, 3 runs, and struck out 5 in 5 2/3 innings on the bump. And Wyndham Clark won the BMW Championship by finishing 17 under, 3 strokes better than Patrick Cantlay, who finished second. I'm James Mesh, and this has been your 2-minute drill on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana sports station, your home for the LSU Tigers and Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you. Dawson Iserloh prides himself on taking a deep dive to uncover all the relevant data about the sports and sports teams he loves. And now he's sharing all those facts inside his big brain with all of you. Here is the LohDown with D-Loh on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
It is the LohDown. It is Monday, August the 24th. We are so close to football season. You can taste it, just barely. Week 0 is officially upon us. That means it's game week for the McNeese Cowboys. It was game week in the NFL preseason for the New Orleans Saints, although I'm not sure they were notified of the game time and place because there was a game played. Whether or not the Saints participated in it is up for debate. We've got the Astros firing their general manager after another underwhelming series. I mean, we come back to all kinds of stuff. There's NFL players playing for college teams now. Really anything you could ask for, you got this weekend. So let's break it all down, I guess, over the next 2 hours. Dawson Iserloh with you here from 1 to 3. Haven't had one of these in a while. Completely normal week of shows. We do not have any sort of out-of-the-office situations. We do not have any sort of Astros baseball cutting in. We don't have any coaches' shows interrupt. I think we are straight up live in the studio, 1 to 3, all 5 days this week. So that is exciting. That means we will have a chance to go through a lot of different things. It is also full steam ahead with Preview 32. Got to get through all 32 NFL teams before the season starts. We're going to knock one out today. Monday's usually a light guest day for me on this show, right? Typically just Jay Walker talking Cajuns, and then maybe we'll mix in 1 or 2 more. So today we are going to mix in Jake DeLome, and Jake DeLome will be talking to us about the Carolina Panthers in just more than 10 minutes, but that's going to be it, he and Jay Walker. So 1:15 and 2:15, a little bit different guest times for us on a Monday, but the rest of the week is already packed up for the most part with guests. So we are going to have Preview 32 guests talking specific NFL teams pretty much all week long. Then we'll also have our usuals, right? Bryce Kuhn will talk college football with us tomorrow. Zach Nagy will talk LSU with us on Wednesday. Seth Lewis will talk Saints with us on Thursday. Chasten Tavares will talk McNeese with us on Friday. Plus all those NFL guests sprinkled in. So it's going to be a very, very busy and fun week here on the show. James Mesh is across the glass, at least for the first hour here, or at least part of it, so we're hanging out. And as I mentioned, where do we even start with this weekend? I suppose we start with a couple of major stories, right, with a couple teams we cover. Let's just bounce around the horn a little bit for today's edition of Locked In.
D-Loh is the kind of guy that stays locked in. On what? Well, that depends on the night. But you can guarantee there was some sporting event that he found interesting. It's time to find out what D-Loh was locked in on the LohDown.
So we got one for you from the Saints, one for you from the Astros, one for you from LSU. Major kind of things that went down over the weekend. Let's start with the Saints. They played a preseason game against the Rams. They lost 34-0. They did not even attempt a kick. So it's kind of funny. Like I joked, and I mean, I didn't joke. I said it seriously last week. I said one of the main things I'd like to see is some kicks be made by the Saints. Well, they didn't make any kicks, but they also didn't miss any kicks. They just never even got into field goal range. And when they did get into field goal range, they fumbled or threw 100-yard pick sixes. So can't really decide a kicker battle if you can't kick. And apparently the irony in all that is that the Saints ended up signing a new kicker today, despite the fact that they did not attempt any kicks on Saturday. So Daniel Carlson is now in the building. He's been an all-pro in this league before. He's had a very good career, but he's been a little inconsistent at times. And there's a reason that the Raiders have moved on. So we'll see. I would assume, not even assume, right? There will be a corresponding roster move made to this. I can't imagine the Saints are going to have 3 kickers on their roster for the last preseason game on Friday. Maybe they'll prove me wrong, but I just find that to be incredibly unlikely. So whether it's Charlie Smith, Tanner Brown, that news could drop any minute now, right? You just assume there's going to be a corresponding roster move. And Carlson, I wouldn't think is signed just to be handed the job. I would assume this continues on and this battle will roll on the rest of camp, but the Saints did bring in a kicker after not attempting any kicks. The Zach Wilson honeymoon was a little bit short-lived. He did not look all that good on Saturday. I can acknowledge that. But it was just one of those things where nobody looked good, man. The procedural penalties from the offensive line. And I understand, and I'll be the first to tell you, sometimes you get procedural penalties because it's a lot of mixing and matching, right? Some first-team guys, some second-team guys. You got a different quarterback cadence. You got some receivers in there that aren't quite in the same spots they're always in. So part of the Saints holding off their starters was going to lead to some, some bumpy moments throughout this preseason game. But it was dreadful, and you had guys dropping the football like a couple times where I actually thought Wilson made a nice throw on third down to Bub Means. He couldn't hold on to it. Then he makes a couple bad throws. They're never ahead of the sticks. Like it was just as disastrous as it could look on offense. It wasn't exactly the same way with Rattler in there in the second half. Now, you got to take into consideration, right? They were playing against guys further down the depth chart for the Rams as well, but he at least led them on a couple of productive drives. But when it was put up or shut up time and it's 3rd and goal, he threw an awfully dreadful ball that got picked off and ran back 100 yards. And then you're trying to see if some different running backs can get in the mix, and they fumble on the goal line and they give that one away too. So no doubt about it. Now, some of the different opinions on how it was run, what are the reasons for it? We can get to that in a little bit. We do have some Kellen Moore audio to play for you a little bit later on in the show today, but it was as bad as it could look, and no, that doesn't exactly inspire confidence in you, but at the same time, as Jay Walker says, it is televised football practice that he no longer watches. I still watched it, though, and yes, there was not a whole lot to be excited about. We move from there to the Astros, who dropped a really discouraging game. I did text Kevin on Saturday night and actually feed into it a little bit. I know I didn't make his night any better by saying that's a game you can't lose, but I did text him that, and I did feel that way. Saturday was a game that the Astros had no business losing. I did think that it was a pretty poor decision to go where you went in the bullpen when you had Abreu clearly ready or available at least. They blow that lead. They lose that game. It did sound, by the way, family emergency. Joe Espada was not with the team on Sunday. Sounded like it was pretty bad, so certainly best wishes to him and his family, hoping everything's okay there. It did not sound like it was very good. Something going on with Joe Espada's family, and so you certainly want to give him the privacy and all that and give him the respect and the courtesy. But then Sunday happened with Espada not there, and it was no better. The Astros were up 6-0. It was the first time the Astros blew a lead at home of 6 runs or more in decades, okay? And it was as bad a loss as you can have. They were up 6-0. They lost 7-6 to the worst team in the American League, the Sacramento, Oakland, Las Vegas Athletics, whatever they are called these days. And so you lose that series. That's 5-6 loss since the All-Star break. So despite the fact that it's been genuinely on the up and up for this team, right? They got to 500. They got the division lead back. They got the tiebreaker with the Rangers. Nothing all that great's really happened since then. And another series loss, and this was portion of the schedule we said they really needed to take advantage of, right? Playing against the Angels and the A's and even the Mariners, who weren't having a great go of it, and they lose all those series. It's a disastrous homestand, and so the news drops today that Dana Brown is being let go. If you followed this Astros organization closely, like I have, you're not stunned about the Dana Brown news. The only thing that's maybe slightly surprising on it is the timing. It never felt like this was a perfect marriage. There were always rumblings of what Jim Crane wanted versus what Dana Brown wanted. Now, let's remember, Dana Brown was hired after the Astros won the World Series in 2022 with James Click in charge, right? Click was brought in after the Jeff Luhnow firing, which the Astros didn't really want to fire him, but they maybe felt like they had to because of the scandal stuff, or maybe Jim Crane felt betrayed a little bit by that scandal going down under his watch, and so they get Luhnow out of there. They bring in Click, and they win a World Series, but personality clashes, whatever else. They move on from him. They bring in Dana Brown. ALCS in Dana Brown's first year, which was the norm back then, right? That was the last of 7 straight for the Stros. Then they only made it to the wild card the year after. Then they missed the playoffs the year after. So it had been downgrades every year of Brown's tenure as far as how far they went. Made a big splash in the offseason, went out and got Tetsuya Imai from Japan. That was a disaster so far. So the writing was on the wall. You just thought maybe they were going to let the rest of the season ride out. The Astros decide what's the point in waiting any longer. They make the move now. Brown is no longer in charge. They're going to say mutually parting ways, right? I think we know that the Astros were the ones who wanted to move on from here. And so they will have interim GMs. It sounds like 4 or 5 guys are going to be combining to make those decisions the rest of the way, which doesn't seem like maybe the best way to do it, but I'm sure nothing massive is going to happen between now and then. If they do move players around, it'll probably be players that are already on the roster. They'll calling some guys up, sending some guys down, maybe handling the pitching staff a little bit differently. But Dana Brown is officially out. Lastly, on our first segment of the day, our locked in here, the LSU Tigers have an agreement in place for Daquan Wright, the Ole Miss tight end who got selected in the NFL draft but was not going to make the roster. It didn't appear, was cut by the Browns. So if he clears waivers, apparently Kiffin and company has an agreement in place. He was one of those guys granted a 5th year of eligibility. Do I think this is good for the sport? No, I certainly don't. I think I'm in the majority of people who think this is pretty silly. I do think Chris Vanini brought up a good point in saying this is not going to become the new normal. This was a specific exemption because these players were granted a 5th year of eligibility as a result of the new 5-for-5 rules, but after they had already gone through the draft process. So is it the end of college athletics as we know it? No, I think that's maybe a bit dramatic, but is it a good thing that we should all feel warm and fuzzy on the inside about? No, certainly not either. And it appears, at least as of now, that LSU could have maybe not only just one, they might have 2 or 3 former NFL preseason players on their roster when they open the season against Clemson. The thing that it's really unfair to is the players who are already on the roster and have been working every day. But Kiffin and company doesn't seem to care, right? And so if it helps them win football games, Kiffin's going to say that's what his ultimate job is. So we shall see how this is going to go. It just doesn't make you feel good. I don't think, and I've seen a lot of LSU fans themselves go, hey, yeah, big LSU fan. It's going to be good if they win games, but this is not something that I think is good for the sport. And there is that distinction to be made. And Greg Sankey, who is usually backing SEC schools as best he can as the commissioner, has already come out and said he thinks it's bad for the sport as well. So we will hear potentially from Kiffin a little bit later on in the week. I think he was speaking to the media today as well. All right, let's do this. Let's take a break because we got Jake DeLome on the other side. We will do Preview 32 on the Carolina Panthers. It is the LohDown on a Monday. Stay with us.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
The ESPN Southwest Louisiana YouTube channel is the best new way to stay locked in with our station. Visit the channel today and subscribe to get notified whenever our shows are going live or we're uploading new content. The best part is it's completely free to watch and subscribe. All you got to do is head to YouTube, search ESPN_SWLA, and hit that subscribe button to make sure you don't miss anything from Southwest Louisiana Sports Station.
ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is your home for the Houston Astros.
And the Astros stun the Mariners.
Hunter Brown, Yordan Alvarez, and the rest of the Astros are looking to get back to the postseason. You can listen to every pitch, hit, and thrilling victory of the Houston Astros.
Incredible!
As Robert Ford and Steve Sparks will be on the call. Tune in this season for live Astros baseball on Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Around Acadiana, community means supporting the businesses that make our hometown special. That's why we're proud to spotlight local companies that are certified South Louisiana.
Delta Home Center and Delta Trailer Sales, your one-stop shop for utility and cargo trailers. Heavy-duty dump and gooseneck trailers, portable buildings, cabins, decks, porches, fences, carports, and site-built metal shops. Located at Exit 7 in Carencro or at deltatrailersales.com.
When you support local businesses, you strengthen the communities we call home. Shop local, support local. Certified South Louisiana.
Got old coins or paper money? Bring them to the Lafayette Coin Show, September 11th and 12th at the Cajun Dome. Free appraisals, buy, sell, trade, and connect with coin experts from across the region. The Lafayette Coin Show, September 11th and 12th at the Cajun Dome. Don't miss it.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard. Aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Oh, look who's here.
Everybody Loves Raymond is on MeTV.
Who told you that?
Raymond!
America's #1 classic TV network.
Nothing even comes close.
Enjoy 2 back-to-back episodes every weeknight.
We're doing it twice.
Watch Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah, it's all about you, Raymond.
Weeknights starting at 8 on MeTV.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
We are Lions International, the world's largest service organization. We are volunteers committed to strengthening our communities and supporting those in need, one act of kindness at a time. For more than a century, Lions have been serving a world in need, right here in our community and around the world. Lions International makes the impossible possible. This is your invitation to join us, because the only thing missing from our mission to make a difference is you. Visit lionsclubs.org to find a local Lions Club near you.
Delta Home Center and Delta Trailer Sales, your one-stop shop for utility and cargo trailers. Heavy-duty dump and gooseneck trailers, portable buildings, cabins, decks, porches, fences, carports, and site-built metal shops. Located at Exit 7 in Carencro or at deltatrailersales.com.
The NFL season is closer than you think. And D-Loh wants to make sure you're prepared once it's here.
I like this kind of party.
It's time for Preview 32 on the LohDown.
It is Preview 32, and we start off a new week with plenty of teams to get to, and we're actually finishing off the NFC South with the exception of the Saints, because we usually go last with the Saints, given how much we talk about them in general. We're talking Carolina Panthers, and it's Jake D-Loh, part of the radio broadcast team, of course, and a quarterback who happened to appear in a Super Bowl with the Panthers as well. Jake, thank you for rejoining us and talking some football here on a Monday.
Yeah, man, looking forward to it. And, we know it's approaching fast, and I think we're like everyone else. It's so wide open, this NFC South. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how it eventually plays out.
No doubt. I did want to go back, Jake, and just ask, we talked before the Hall of Fame, but once you got to experience it, see Luke, see Drew, all the emotions of it, the speeches, everything like that, what were your biggest takeaways from the Hall of Fame experience?
Yeah, it was awesome, man. I was able to get there and, just listening to those speeches, we were sitting down, right with everyone, all the fans, and listening to those speeches and those guys and watching them at their moment. It was great. It was an awesome experience. And then that night, the Panthers and Luke had a party, and that was a lot of fun to be able to go to that. So many ex-players, but then a lot of the Hall of Famers, they kind of would mingle and go to the different parties, the different locations. And so that was cool, seeing guys that I had played with along the way, from the Joe Thomases to Andre Johnson, and Eric Allen and I were teammates with the Saints. Rondé Barber, someone played against. I enjoyed that, seeing those guys, and just kind of, we're all reminiscing about how great those players were, and especially this was Luke's party, how great he was, and seeing everyone. But, yeah, great experience. I highly encourage anyone that's never been to the Pro Football Hall of Fame and you're a football fan to take part in that.
It certainly was, and we had a great experience as well, and kind of had the same sentiment echoed from basically everyone we talked to. All right, Jake, when you take a look at this Panthers team so far in the preseason, it's always, what do you want to gather out of the preseason? How much of a real opinion do you want to form on some of these things? But what has jumped out to you about the way they've looked in camp and in the game so far?
Well, listen, it's been 2 games and 1 scrimmage, right? So the Panthers scrimmaged Jacksonville last week, and that went pretty good. So Jacksonville did not play many starters in the game the other night. Carolina held out many of the defensive starters. But I think for me is getting the 5 offensive linemen getting a chance to play. Damian Lewis out of LSU, the left guard, missing time in camp. Robert Hunt missed the majority of the season, the fellow Raging Cajun. He was back. So that looked good. That looked the part. Jonathan Brooks, the running back, who has a lot of promise, who's dealt with some injuries. Tedero McMillan looks unbelievable. He really and truly does. Just the muscle that he's put on from one year to the next. And you would expect that. I think Bryce looks like Bryce. The biggest thing for Carolina, you've got to start fast. That's something the last couple of years they haven't started fast, and you got to start fast because I truly believe, and I think we all think this way, this division is so wide open. So anxious to see what Tampa's going to be like, missing 2 cogs that's been there for over a decade, and Levante David and Mike Evans. So how does that play out? Atlanta situation, I'm not so sure there. I think that's a team that's really in flux, to be quite honest. And the Saints, you heard how great they did against Jacksonville. I think they did okay last week against the Rams in the joint practice game, not so much, but so much is to be learned. And I think for Carolina, we play Houston on Friday night. So I think we all can agree probably the best defense in the NFL will be in Carolina this week. So I'm very anxious to see that practice and that scrimmage and see what we can take from there.
It's so fascinating with this team, Jake, that found a way to win a weak division last year and then, gave the Rams everything that they wanted in the playoffs. And so you kind of left on this very high note, but to the same extent, everybody in the division sitting there going, well, we don't have to be great to win it. And you don't know that to be true, but that's kind of what the outside is feeling like. What did Carolina do specifically that you think maybe is going to be successful in getting better and improving this roster in the offseason?
Well, I'm hoping it's the young receivers, very, very young. And Bryce, very mature guy, and I think there was some hesitancy, like, with those young guys, especially early last year. Adam Thielen was a security blanket after the 24 season. Well, he got traded back to Minnesota before the season started last year. So you're dealing with a rookie in Tedero McMillan, and you're dealing with 2 second-year guys, and Xavier Legette and Jalen Coker. So it took a while to get going. And, yeah, we got to say it. I mean, Tampa lost the division. I'm not so sure Carolina won it. I just think we backed our way into it because Tampa lost it. They were in the driver's seat, and then things went south. And we matched up very well with the Rams for whatever reason. Beat them in the regular season and took them down to the wire. So it's who starts fast. But we needed to address some defensive positions, and I think we did. Jalen Phillips, big signing. But Devin Lloyd, we've had some struggles at linebacker consistency-wise. Getting him has been huge. You see a difference already. But we still don't know who's going to play opposite him. So I still think there's some areas for growth that we need. We lost a major piece of our team this year in the first practice. Nick Scorton, second-round pick last year, who's going to be an extremely productive player in the National Football League. Losing him is going to hurt, just for depth reasons. And just finding who's going to be your nickel and different things of that nature. And so have 2 starting offensive linemen from last year that probably going to both start on PUP. So there's still a lot of questions.
The Nick Scorton news, of course, was such a bummer, and then there was that stretch where it felt like everybody in the division lost a big piece defensively, and the Saints lost Brzee, and then the Falcons as well. But that Panthers defense at different times last year, Jake, I mean, they had moments where they were awesome, right? And they kept the Carolina in some games that were pretty sluggish. Do you think they have the ability to do that again? And obviously you're hoping the offense is a little better to help things out at times, but can they carry this team for stretches like they maybe did a little bit last year?
I hope so. We did a very good job of getting interceptions last year. J.C. Horn and Mike Jack really did a great job of getting some takeaways. And, does that happen again? Can we do that, and can we create pressure up front? That's what it comes down to. Derek Brown's one of a kind. He needs to stay healthy, and if he does stay healthy, he's going to cause problems. And Jalen Phillips, that was a big-time signing for us. And so if we can create some havoc, Lee Hunter, second-round pick out of Texas Tech, he's starting to really show some flashes. But, again, it's a different defense than when he played in college. We're a read and react, gap and a half defense, whereas in college he was more of a disruptor and get up the field. So that is the learning curve. It takes a little bit of time.
Jake, one thing I'm asking everybody this year, when you look up and down this Panthers roster, who's the most important player? Who's somebody they just have to get it from this year to be successful?
A quarterback. It's not even close. It's a quarterback. Kenny Pickett's our backup. Bryce was the number 1 overall pick. We're going into year 4. There were some struggles. We've seen flashes of some really good plays from him. We've seen him come up clutch in late in games and on 3rd and 4th down late in games. I think more consistency all 4 quarters and start faster. So it's a quarterback's league. I think we all know that. That's the way the game is played right now. That's the way the NFL wants it right now. So that, to me, it's all predicated on the quarterback. Can we make plays consistently in the passing game to help this football team?
And what about somebody who's maybe under the radar, Jake? Who's a player who not a ton of people are talking about that you think might have a big impact this season?
Yeah, that's I'm quietly hoping we can have a healthy Darren Waller. This guy is a defensive he's a matchup problem. He looks in unbelievable shape. We just signed him last week. We never really gotten the production out of the tight end that I think Bryce could use. Yeah, Bryce is not the biggest guy, but I think a big target in the middle of the field and someone like Waller, I don't know, he's had a couple of injury issues, but like last year in Miami when he played against Carolina, he caught 2 touchdown passes on us, and it's just a mismatch. That's all it is it's a mismatch. The guy can run. He's 6'6". He's extremely long, can jump, catch the ball away from his body. So I'm hopeful. Maybe that's wishful thinking, but someone like him can really be a major factor for us.
It should be a whole lot of fun. Jake, you ready? You ready for football to be back? You officially, you feeling it at this point?
Yeah, I am. I started doing the preseason television last year, and so around the team a whole lot more. It's not just starting in the regular season. So I'm ready for it. I'm ready for this week. I'm ready for the practice when we go against Houston. I hold Houston in high regards. D'Amico Ryans and that defense, I just think they're different. That's the upper echelon defense. That's a Super Bowl winning defense. It's very simple. I think we all know that. So I'm anxious to see how we stack up because we know that, okay, we're going to get tested this week. So let's see how we can stack up, start to kind of get our roster, solidify our roster after next week, and then get going.
It is good stuff as always. Jake, thank you for doing this, and enjoy the start of the season, getting here before we know it.
You got it, Dawson. Take care, man.
That's Jake D-Loh. Great stuff there talking Carolina Panthers with him. And it really is, you talk about that season he had, and he didn't mince words there. And that's, what I love about Jake, right? He's a part of the Panthers radio broadcast team, and he'll tell you how it is there. Tampa lost the division last year. Carolina actually, and I went back and looked, and I was surprised to see, they lost 2 of their last 3 games down the stretch when they had a chance to kind of seal that thing up, right? But Tampa lost 2, and Tampa lost more, and tiebreaker goes to Carolina, and they end up, remember that Rams playoff game was 34-31. I mean, they're in it. They're in it with a chance to beat the MVP, Matt Stafford, and the Rams. So that is sometimes the definition of it. You talk about just getting into the tournament and having a chance. We'll see if the NFC South Division champion can have a winning record this year. That'd be nice if somebody can get that done. We'll do this. We'll take a break. When we return, Kellen Moore talked about the Saints' abysmal performance after what happened on Saturday in L.A. We'll hear from Kellen, hear what he had to say about it after this. It's the LohDown.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Small Sliders of Lafayette. I have told you about them so many times before, and the great stuff that they have rolling along right now just keeps on coming. So in addition to everything that they offer every day, right, which is those combos. You get your sliders, you get your fries, you get the queso, you get the small sauce, your drink if you want to order a milkshake, whatever it is. Think about Smalls the next time you have a big-time party or outing and you want to get the catering taken care of. You want to have something you know is going to deliver. You know it's going to come out good. You know it's going to be fresh. And Smalls can do all that. They've got these party trays for you. The default one comes with like 30 sliders. You get a couple of those. If you got a big party, you get just one if that's going to be enough for you. They can also do the fries like that. They can get you all the sauces and the sides and everything you need to do it, and it can make your party just a Smalls bit better. So check them out. Small Sliders of Lafayette. You've got the Ambassador Caffrey location. You got the Bertrand Drive location, and make sure you call Smalls for your next event. It is Small Sliders.
This game isn't fun. This game is a war.
It's time for the 2-minute drill.
Hurry it up, hurry it up, hurry it up.
Powered by B1 Bank. Visit B1Bank.com to find a location near you.
Come on, let's go, you guys. Get in here, we gotta go fast now.
The Houston Astros lost 2 out of 3 to the Athletics at home this weekend, dropping their record to 65-66. The lone win for Houston was on Friday, 4-0. Next up is a road series against the New York Yankees, and it won't begin until Tuesday evening. The New Orleans Saints lost their second preseason game 34-0 to the Los Angeles Rams inside SoFi Stadium. Nothing was executed correctly by the Black and Gold as they turned the ball over 4 times, including a pick 6, were penalized 12 times for 96 yards, and had just 13 first downs on the day. Speaking of the Saints, they traded linebacker Deion Jones to the San Francisco 49ers in exchange for running back Zamir White. History is likely to be made as Cleveland Browns tight end Daquan Wright was waived on Sunday. If he clears waivers, he will be the first pro player to return to college and would commit to play for the LSU Tigers, who are less than 2 weeks away from their season opener versus Clemson. Former LSU Tiger pitcher Cade Anderson made his major league debut for the Seattle Mariners on Saturday. The national champion southpaw allowed 5 hits, 3 runs, and struck out 5 in 5 2/3 innings on the bump. And Wyndham Clark won the BMW Championship by finishing 17 under, 3 strokes better than Patrick Cantlay, who finished second. I'm James Mesh, and this has been your 2-minute drill on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana sports station, your home for the LSU Tigers and Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit B1Bank.com to find a location near you. ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is the proud winner of 4 2026 LAB Prestige Awards, including Best Use of Digital Media, Foot's Friday Fury, Best Live On-Site Remote for our Super Bowl Radio Road coverage, Best Promotion for our No Shave November initiative, and Radio Young Professional of the Year for Dawson Iserloh. We're proud of being Southwest Louisiana's sports station and are humbled to be recognized by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters.
Imagine a place where wellness, luxury, and community come together. Welcome to City Club at River Ranch, Acadiana's premier private club. Enjoy a state-of-the-art fitness center, exceptional tennis and pickleball programs, resort-style amenities, and a vibrant social atmosphere. Whether you're pursuing your fitness goals or expanding your social circle, City Club offers an unmatched member experience. Visit cityclubatriverranch.com today. City Club at River Ranch, where lifestyle meets distinction.
We are the soldiers of the Louisiana Army National Guard. We are your neighbors. We are your sons and daughters. While we serve part-time, we are learning valuable life and job skills. We are earning money for college, for trade and technical schools, and for certifications. We are proud to serve both our country and our home state. We are your Louisiana Army National Guard.
Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard. Aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
MeTV is America's #1 classic entertainment television network. And here's one of the reasons everybody loves MeTV.
Oh, it's a classic.
The great comedy lineup on weeknights.
This will be fun. Come on.
With MASH.
Loaded with snappy comebacks.
The Andy Griffith Show.
I was just funning with Barney.
And Everybody Loves Raymond.
Now we got a show.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on Channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
Know someone with a drinking or drug problem? Learn how to get sober after we share these stories.
I was 35 with 2 beautiful children when my life and addiction started to spiral out of control. After my divorce, I went into a depression cycle and started drinking more often and using prescription drugs. After my second DWI and arrest, my ex-husband threatened to take our children away from me.
I was 17 when I became addicted to heroin and meth. I thought I could quit on my own, but I couldn't. It hit me when I was arrested.
Get sober now. Your private insurance may cover costs and we'll get you here. It's simple. Just call Elite Rehab Placement right now. Please, don't wait. Your life matters to us. 800-819-8313. 800-819-8313. 800-819-8313. That's 800-819-8313.
This is ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, broadcasting live from the Beal and Hebert studios in Upper Lafayette. Beal and Hebert, Acadiana's hometown lawyers. Back to more of Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Yeah, we're going to get to learn some great lessons from this game, I think, at the end of the day. There's going to be some challenging lessons coming out of this game, but I think it's going to be lessons nevertheless. And, I think that just shows you the discipline, the details of football. They didn't have the penalties. They didn't turn the ball over. They ran the ball well. They took advantage of opportunities in the red zone. It's a game of execution. And I think at the end of the day, we didn't prepare ourselves well enough from a coaching perspective. Our guys weren't there. And so we got to reset together. And, hey, we're going to go back to Metairie. We're going to have a great week of practice out there, get ourselves ready to go, and then we'll have one more preseason game opportunity in Dallas, and then that'll be great.
Okay. That's Kellen Moore, by the way. That's the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. So it's preseason. Jay Walker, he told me a bunch today. We were over at the facility for Cajuns availability, and he said, I don't watch televised football practice anymore. And I said, Jay, I'm glad for you, and that probably is the right decision, but I'm going to watch it and talk about it. And here's the thing. In listening to Kellen's presser, this was the thought I had. Do you know how bad it has to be for you to have to give the "we weren't prepared as coaches and staff" speech after a preseason game? Like, you can lose a game 30-7 and still probably get away with going in there and going, it's preseason. We got a good look at some guys. We got some decisions to make. The Saints were so bad against the Rams on Saturday that after a preseason game, Kellen Moore had to give like the mid-season, we just laid an egg speech. Do you realize how bad it has to be in the preseason to have to go to that to have to go to that press conference answer? That was my thought. So I don't care what he had to say all that much, right, about the performance itself, because we all watched it. And there are plenty of reasons for it, okay? The Saints did have 2 joint practices in a week, which I don't even know if I've ever heard of happening the same week of a game. Like, I don't know if I've ever heard of an NFL. I'm sure it's been done before. I don't think the Saints were, like, breaking down barriers on this thing. But I've never heard of a team having 2 full-blown joint practices, one of which resembled a WWE cage match, and they got fined $500,000 for it. So that's plenty good reason why you didn't play great on Saturday. I do think some people have been saying, hey, why is Tyler Shuck being treated with like he's this perennial all-pro at quarterback while they're not playing him out there? I don't mind that stuff either, though, because, again, the context matters. If Tyler Shuck didn't play in 2 joint scrimmages, joint practices in the same week of this game, I definitely think you'd have seen Shuck out there for a couple of drives. Like Caleb Williams with the Bears didn't play in their first game. He played in their second game. He played like 2 series. He went 2 for 5. They did a full-blown breakdown on like one of his incompletions on Get Up this morning, which on one hand, I was like, hey, can't complain. We always ask him to talk more ball instead of talking about tweets and stuff. So they were breaking down ball. But I was like, guys, it was a drive in the preseason, and we're breaking down like if he had a miscommunication with his receiver or not. It just isn't that deep. But so the Saints were dreadful, and they were awful, and they were everything that you don't want to be on a day. And at the same time, you sit there and you go, well, what does it really matter? And the answer is, I don't know if it matters at all. I just didn't like that Kellen had to already use up one of those, we didn't come prepared, you know? Like, you usually get what you're allowed to have 1 or 2 of those in a season. You're allowed to show up at a presser and be like, hey, you know what, flat out unacceptable. we didn't get it done. That's on us. We got to be better. You're allowed to do that once or twice, but it's like a number of, there's 3 strikes and you're out. I don't know if 3 is always the number. Maybe the number depends. You don't want to have to use up one of those excuses on a preseason game, and the Saints seemingly had to do that. Other than that, Kellen did have some other things to talk about. I said it just jumped out to me. The procedural penalties. Maybe you go, hey, it doesn't matter because a lot of these guys aren't going to be playing, but sometimes that's one of those things that you kind of, I know culture's an overused term, but like, are you building it into the culture, discipline, avoiding those types of penalties, being in line, being ready to roll? Kellen gave his thoughts on what was an abnormally high number of penalties on Saturday.
Yeah, just a lack of discipline, lack of detail. A lot of them are under our control. 12 penalties in a football game is, you're not going to win football games. And I feel like we talked a lot about that, and it was obviously a step back from the progress that we felt like we've made. So going to be a lesson.
It is going to be a lesson. We talked about the fatigue factor, right? They did play 2 joint practices. There was a lot of reason that maybe this would have went down. And I did kind of was taken aback by, I was like, wait a minute, they're going to do 2 joint practices in the same week and then play a game. Okay, that's a lot. But you figure they had a plan for it. Maybe that plan didn't work out. Last year, remember, they had less joint practice, so I wasn't stunned that they did it because I was like, hey, remember last year they got those practices canceled. They probably felt like they lost valuable reps. They probably thought maybe that contributed to a slow start last season. So you go, let's do the opposite of that. Let's have more practice. Let's really get a look against some other NFL caliber teams. Maybe it backfired. This was Kellen on whether or not fatigue played a factor in the performance on Saturday.
I don't know. Obviously, this is a good push-it week, which you have to have those in training camp. Those are inevitably part of camp. And so I thought our ones got a lot of reps on Tuesday and Thursday. Those guys weren't going to play in this game, and so gave some other guys some opportunities.
And speaking of those opportunities, he feels they were missed. That's the other thing, too, right? I said that earlier. Like, on one hand, the kickers didn't even get a chance. Poor guys, sitting there warming up their legs for 4 quarters, never even went out there. But there were some opportunities on guys lower in the depth chart. Hey, backup quarterback job. It's open. Who wants it? Still don't have an answer there. It was some missed opportunities across the board, and Kellen gave his thoughts on exactly that.
All right. Regular season, preseason does not matter. Those ones aren't the ones you want. That was a big-time missed opportunity for us. Starts with me. We didn't respond the right way. I thought we had a really good week out here as far as the workload that we got. We just missed an opportunity at the end of this week, and obviously it's really frustrating. At the end of the day, film is your resume in this league, coaches, players. We didn't coach well enough to prepare ourselves to take advantage of this opportunity, and so obviously, hopefully it's going to be a really valuable lesson for our team, a response opportunity for our team moving forward with one more week of essentially preseason football, preparation week, and a game in Dallas.
And so that is by the way, the missed, the context, as I've said before, sometimes matters so much. There was a quote that got out that said, Kellen Moore said preseason doesn't matter. That's not what he said. He said regular season, preseason doesn't matter. He was acknowledging the fact that whether it's a regular season game or a preseason game, it still is, you have to have an elite level of preparation, all those other things that he went on to say. And so that quote was grabbed out of context, and that happens in 2026. So not a huge surprise there. But the bottom line is this was about as bad as you could possibly look in a preseason game. Hey, the Ravens and John Harbaugh had this run. Remember, we talked about it forever, that they never lost preseason games ever. That worked out pretty well for them. I saw the joke. Maybe Kellen Moore and company are taking the opposite approach. We're never going to win a preseason game ever, and we're going to see if that matters down the road. The Ravens and Harbaugh had a pretty good run during that stretch, so I don't know if I'd be trying to exactly be the antithesis of that. But anyway, they'll get one more shot at it on Friday, and I'll be honest, I'd like to see Tyler Shuck out there for a drive or two, and so maybe we will. Maybe we won't. That'll be Friday. Maybe it's going to depend on how much they get done at practice this week. I almost wonder, does Kellen send the starters out there to send a message? Although he probably shouldn't be doing that, right? I don't think anyone's really that upset about what happened over the weekend because we have the acknowledgement that it is glorified scrimmages, and it's not even your 1s and 2s scrimmaging. It was a lot of your 3s and 4s. So we will see how that goes. They did make another signing. Well, not signing. They made the signing in Daniel Carlson, which we told you about earlier at kicker. They also made a trade. They picked up Zamir White. Running back, if you're a fantasy football nerd, you probably know that name as a flex option a couple of times a few years ago when he was playing for the Raiders. But has been a journeyman back in the league, special teamer, little bit of impact here and there, but hasn't had a huge career. But hey, he's a fine player, whatever. Add him to the back of the roster. They signed Deion White. There was maybe this chance he could kind of find himself a role on this team as a third or fourth linebacker. Doesn't work out. You flip him for a younger guy at the running back position that with Kamara's injury, at least early in the season, might have a role for you. There might be a chance for Zamir White to do something. So it's certainly a pretty small transaction all in all, but all things considered, no big problems there. James Mesh is fist pumping in the studio, so I'm going to ask him to share the news that probably may or may not have anything to do with anything we've been talking about today.
Well, not today, but it does have to do with the local product.
Okay.
Former LSU Tiger and now former Patriots wide receiver Kayshon Boutte. He's getting traded to the Houston Texans.
Oh, well, I thought you were going to say the Saints, and you kind of had that set up. You're excited about this because of fantasy football implications, I assume?
Yeah.
Okay. So do we have any? So the Texans obviously lost a contributor at receiver last week for the season, so that was significant to them. And then we were talking about Tank Dell having to step up, things of that nature. So it makes some sense on paper. Man, New England, it's funny, and we, by the way, our guy Mike DeBody, who joined us all throughout the postseason run last year, is going to be back on for Preview 32 for them later in the week. He was the one who this time last year was hyping up Kayshon Boutte, and it came to fruition. He had a very, very good season. I know we talked about it in the offseason when they got aggressive with A.J. Brown and stuff, where did that factor Boutte in? But, man, he was pretty reliable for Drake May last year. I don't know if I love that for New England. Seems like a nice addition for Houston at a kind of a position of need. Do we have any details on what they're getting back? Or
yeah, so the Texans are going to be sending off safety Jalen Reed, and they didn't get too specific on it. They just said a draft pick. This comes from Tom Pelissero.
Okay, so there you have it. Kayshon Boutte, former LSU Tiger, now former New England Patriot, headed to Houston. The Texans add a little bit to that receiver room after a disappointing injury for them last week. Made them a little bit shorter in that spot. So C.J. Stroud, it's a big year for C.J. We've talked about that before. And by the way, that's fitting. So not only do we have Mike DeBody later this week on Preview 32, we also have John Hickman back to talk Houston Texans. So we will be previewing the season for both of those teams later on this week on the LohDown. All right, we'll take a break here. We'll knock out our final one of hour number 1. We will wrap up the first hour, including giving you an introduction to the poll question of the day, which we already discussed a little bit in our intro segment. All that and more coming up. You're listening to the LohDown.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
With storm season in full swing, ESPN 103.7 Lafayette, 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana sports stations, and Mid-South Power Solutions in Crowley bring you these hurricane safety tips. And I just will say, by the way, add a little bit of a personal note to this read, which we've been doing throughout the week. It was one of those moments where I was like, practice what you preach. And the wife and I sat down over the weekend and we're like, hey, wait a minute. If there is a big storm this season, let's make sure we have all these things. So we went through the checklist and we literally used this read to help us go through it. All right, do we have? I was like, I know we got a flashlight. Is it battery powered? So one of those things, I say it every day and I caught myself going, well, wait a minute. Let me make sure I am ultimately prepared as well. Make sure you secure your home, bring in outdoor items before the storm makes landfall. Have an emergency kit stocked with water, food, and medications. Know your evacuation routes and listen to local authorities. Stay informed with the battery-powered radio. Make sure you have fresh batteries. Remember, safety is in your hands. These hurricane preparedness tips are powered by Mid-South Power Solutions in Crowley, your local Generac dealer. Visit midsouthpowersolutions.com.
Delta Media is your home for Friday Night Football. STM on ESPN 103.7, North Vermilion on 106.3 Lafayette, Catholic High of New Iberia on Mustang 107.1 FM, St. Landry Parish Game of the Week on Z105.9, LRCA on News Talk 98.5 FM, and Barb on ESPN 104.1. Listen to the games on the radio or on each station's free mobile app. Delta Media has you covered for thrilling Friday Night Football.
Are you looking for an eye expert? Well, visit Acadiana Optics in Broussard, locally owned, founded, and operated by Broussard native Dr. Lindsay Dugas. From comprehensive eye exams for glasses and contacts to diabetic exams, pediatric eye care, emergency eye care, cataract and LASIK evaluations, Acadiana Optics provides family eye care for all vision needs. Enjoy state-of-the-art technology, designer frame selections, prescription Maui Jim sunglasses, and custom glasses and contacts. Acadiana Optics in Broussard. Call today to schedule your appointment.
This is your Chiropractic Expert Minute, brought to you by Dr. Quentin Briscoe, chiropractic physician.
Hello, I'm Dr. Quentin Briscoe. Veterans, are you struggling with chronic back pain, neck issues, or reduced mobility? You're not alone, and you have options. Chiropractic care is part of your VA health benefits, and at Briscoe Chiropractic, we specialize in non-surgical, drug-free solutions to help manage your pain and improve your well-being. We are proud to work with the VA Community Care Network. Let us help you regain your mobility and enjoy the active life you deserve. In addition to the VA Community Care Network, we are also in network with Blue Cross Blue Shield and Aetna. We accept motor vehicle accidents and workman's comp cases.
To schedule an appointment with Briscoe Chiropractic, visit drqmb.com or call 337-534-0091. That's drqmb.com or 337-534-0091, because your spine deserves expert care.
Looking for the perfect way to spend your Labor Day? Head to Farm D Alley Golf Club, where the fairways are in great shape and the greens are ready for your best round of the season. Gather your friends, enjoy championship golf, and make the most of your holiday. Tee times are filling up fast, so don't wait. Book your Labor Day tee time today at Farm D Alley Golf Club and celebrate the holiday on the course. Farm D Alley Golf Club, your Labor Day golf destination. Book your tee time now.
We are the soldiers of the Louisiana Army National Guard. We are your neighbors. We are your sons and daughters. While we serve part-time, we are learning valuable life and job skills. We are earning money for college, for trade and technical schools, and for certifications. We are proud to serve both our country and our home state. We are your Louisiana Army National Guard.
Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard. Aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
You're listening to the 2026 LAB Award winner for Radio Young Professional of the Year, Dawson Iserloh, the host of the LohDown with D-Loh on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
All right, I don't always give out an award, but sometimes this award is necessary. It's Tweet of the Day. James Mesh has been a winner of Tweet of the Day once or twice. Today's winner of Tweet of the Day is our friend Chris Marler over to ESPN 104.5. There was an LSU fan who tweeted out, obviously talking about all these player movement and the opportunity for these fifth years and stuff. There's a world where in a year, LSU starting defensive line is KJ Green, Deuce Geralds, Richard Anderson, and Lamar Brown. And Chris Marler responded and said, and possibly Micah Parsons. And that is the tweet of the day. It leads us right into our poll question of the day, which asks you on Facebook and on X, how do you feel about players who played in the NFL preseason going back to college football? 85% of you hate it, 11% don't care, 4% are indifferent, and 0 votes for love it. So there's not anyone who's like, yeah, I love it when guys get drafted, play in the preseason, and then suit up for my favorite college football team, which is maybe an unsurprising set of results. But, yeah, look, it's just with what's going on right now, I do understand that this is unique, and that's why I don't want it to be lost on, like, this is not the same when we have these conversations about, oh, this player just got eligible for a 5th year and a 6th year, and this player played professional European basketball. Here's the difference, okay? Like, even with the RJ Lewis thing with LSU right now, there was not a situation where those players left to go play European professional basketball, and then some other ruling happened that they realized then they would have had the chance to stay in college had this changed. Like, those guys left with the idea that it was over and it was done with. And so I maybe you can bring a comparison point in, but these players specifically, and I think you can make the argument in, Daquan Wright's situation, he would have stayed in college for another year without a doubt if he had another year of eligibility. wasn't given that. And then a new sweeping piece of legislation made it to where every other guy moving forward forever is going to have that year that he would have had this year. So I'm not fully taking the side because ultimately I think, like, man, that's life. Sometimes stuff happens. We cannot retroactively go back and fix everything for everyone whenever we make changes to be better. But as I said before, like, this is a little bit different. It's not as simply put as, like, these guys played pro football and now they're coming back. And this doesn't, to that point, like, all of a sudden make it to where third-year NFL players are all of a sudden going to be going back and suiting up for Ohio State next year. Like, that's not the... I talk a lot about Pandora's Box. Great piece of Greek mythology. Creates for some really good references for us these days. Like, almost as good as King Midas and his gold touch, right? Pandora's Box is not really in play here, as Chris Vanini pointed out over the weekend, because this is the last time that this specific exemption. Now, does it create some sort of legal precedent for lawsuits in the future, trying to loosely use the same argument about lost opportunity and the potential to make money and eligibility and all those things? Maybe that's the case, so there could be some peripheral elements to this, but this is not as simple as going, all right, from now on, the new norm is that 6th and 7th round draft picks that don't get signed or that don't make NFL rosters are just going to come back and suit up for BYU and Ohio State and Florida and Miami. That's not necessarily what's happening here. So, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it, but that's where we are. That's where we are. And Lane Kiffin clearly does not care about others' opinions. And he did, like, there's more to it, and we'll play some audio for you tomorrow. Like, he gave a pretty well thought out rationale to why he thinks this is a different situation. He did say, by the way, Kiffin said on the record today that he is generally against NFL players coming back and playing college football, which didn't think that statement had to be clarified, but I guess it did. But here we are. By the way, the official trade, Jalen Reed and a 2028 7th round pick for Kayshon Boutte. So the Patriots get a safety that might factor into their rotational secondary plans. The Texans get a receiver who could maybe have a nice impact for them. And then there's an extra little piece of draft capital that, hey, that pick might be used on a guy who is fighting for an extra year college eligibility. Who knows? We never know. All right, that'll do it for the first hour of the show here. We've still got a lot coming up. So I was at Cajuns media availability this morning. Jay Walker will join us to talk Cajuns football and more at 2:15, his normal time slot. We've still got things to get to. The world of golf. We had an interesting BMW championship. We've got more stuff going on. So the second hour will be kind of wide open with some of those topics, and we'll keep it rolling. Your thoughts as well. Welcome. It's the Lowdown, hour number 2 of 2, coming up after this break.
The heart of Acadiana is its local businesses, the people, families, and companies that help our communities thrive. Here's a message from a proud certified South Louisiana business.
Candyland Cottage is the place to satisfy all your cravings. Find delicious ice creams, fresh fudges, truffles, hot dogs, sausage po' boys, Frito pies, and homemade shakes. Visit us in Scott and Rain for a sweet treat. Plan your next birthday party or field trip at Candyland Cottage.
Shop local, support local. Certified South Louisiana.
Did you know you can get great tasting Clear Springs artesian water delivered to your office or your doorstep at home? Clear Springs is 100% local with their own bottling facility at the world-famous Kentwood Aquifer, no chemicals added. Just pure Kentwood, Louisiana artesian water. Clear Springs Water offers delivery of 5 or 3 gallon water service with a hot and cold temperature water cooler or even single-serve bottles delivered to your home or office. Easy to reach, clearsprings.net, then contact us tab or 337-519-3563.
And now time for the Expert Minute, brought to you by Sugarland Exterminating.
Ever wonder why bugs seem to love your home as much as you do? One big reason: moisture. Roaches, termites, and ants are drawn to damp areas. Check under sinks, around windows, and in attics for leaks and excess moisture. A little home maintenance goes a long way in keeping pests out. Got unwanted guests? Call Sugarland Exterminating at 337-367-1414 or visit sugarlandexterminating.com for more information.
Sugarland Exterminating. Pest-free environment we're creating. Spiders, roaches, rats, and mice. Those awful termites are not so nice. Get rid of all your pests right now. Call Sugarland Exterminating.
Termites, they're here. They're invasive. They can destroy your home if left untreated. Sugarland Exterminating has been in business for over 50 years, and they have the experience to effectively treat termites. Call 367-1414 or visit sugarlandexterminating.com.
And that has been your Expert Minute, brought to you by Sugarland Exterminating.
Live from Upper Lafayette, this is ESPN 1037 KLWB Karen Crow Lafayette, KLCJ-FM Oak Grove Lake Charles 1041, a Delta Media station.
I'm Christine Lisi. The winner of the Browns quarterback competition is Deshaun Watson. The man with the $230 million guaranteed contract beat out Shedeur Sanders to be Cleveland's QB1. The decision announced 2 days after Watson called out fans who booed him during the preseason game against the Bills when he was 5 for 12, 35 yards, 1 interception over 4 second-half drives. ESPN NFL analyst Dan Orlovsky.
I'm shocked. If this was just a football decision, just football, and I haven't seen every day at practice, I would probably say coin flip, 50-50. Start the guy you want. It doesn't really matter to me. After Saturday's press conference, I'm shocked that they did this to the Cleveland fans. I've said if I was a Cleveland fan and Deshaun's still starting week 3, I would not go to the game.
Dan Orlovsky on the Pat McAfee Show. 49ers owner Jed York pleaded no contest to a pair of misdemeanor charges today after being arrested in Ohio on suspicion of engaging in prostitution. Steelers coach Mike McCarthy says the team's at an impasse with cornerback Joey Porter Jr. as he remains on the PUP list with a back injury. He's in line for an extension entering the final year of his current contract.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman, and coming up Tuesday, now that the Browns have named Deshaun Watson QB1, we ask Adam Schefter what's next for Cleveland when he joins us at 8 a.m. Eastern. It's on Sportsman, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Dawson Iserloh prides himself on taking a deep dive to uncover all the relevant data about the sports and sports teams he loves. And now he's sharing all those facts inside his big brain with all of you. Here is the LohDown with D-Loh on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
It is the LohDown, hour number 2 of 2 on a Monday, August the 24th. ESPN 1037 in Lafayette, 1041 in Lake Charles. Anywhere you are with both the ESPN Southwest Louisiana mobile app and the YouTube live stream, ESPN_SWLA is how you can find the channel. As always, free to watch, free to subscribe as well. So please do so. We've been working on building that channel up. We actually started that channel while I was here a little while ago, maybe a year or so ago now, a little more than that. And we're up to 1,500 subscribers. So it's been a long time coming. So we appreciate that. Also, one of the best places to check us out, many of you have been finding this of late, is our Facebook page. We've been blowing up over there, gained over 5,000 followers in the last 2 months. So if you want to give us a follow, our Facebook page, ESPN Southwest Louisiana, also a great place to stay up to date with content. We throw a lot of our video content up there. And then, of course, you can get links to the shows and all that stuff as well. Here in the second hour, we've got a lot left to get to. We've got Jay Walker. He's our lone guest of this hour coming up in his normal time slot. He'll join us a little more than 10 minutes from now. We'll talk Raging Cajun football and some other things as well. Obviously, there was a bit of an incident over at the Teague on Friday with a fire that took place. Coach Tez gave us his account of what happened. He got a call from his wife that was asking if he was okay and saying there was smoke coming from the building, and he said, I think we're good. And then he talked about how he heard Coach Deggs was out there with a hose, which apparently is true. I saw it's funny, too, this day and age now. We've had to start asking ourselves if anything that's remotely interesting shows up in picture or video format. We have to ask ourselves immediately, is this AI or real? I did have to ask myself about a photo I saw of Matt Deggs with a hose pointed at this blazing fire, if it was real or not, and I have been told the photo is real, that was Coach Deggs' reaction as a go-getter, see if he can help things out. Fortunately, I do believe the fire department showed up shortly thereafter and was able to help get things settled down. Those you probably know by now, of course, the Cajuns are moving the fences in, so there was some construction equipment out there, and
I don't know exactly what happened. I think the fire department released some statements of what they think was the cause, but a fire broke out, so there was certainly some damage done. It was actually very cool. One thing I didn't realize at all, and I think a lot of people learned for the first time, that the Service Chevrolet banner that's been out there in left field for a while actually was the old scoreboard. And so pretty cool repurposing of this and kind of a hidden little Easter egg of this whole fire situation is that after the burning happened, I was like, wait a minute, the scoreboard, what's up with that? And they're like, well, yeah, the billboard, they actually just put it over the old scoreboard because it was kind of the perfect size for a billboard anyway. So that was, I mean, a cool thing that, of course, happened from a very non-cool event, which was this whole fire that went down. And so the fortunate thing from everything we've heard, nobody was injured, nobody was hurt. So all that is good news. And obviously, they were already doing a whole lot of construction anyway with these fences getting moved in. So, I mean, hopefully it doesn't put them too far behind schedule. Because I did see, by the way, Cajuns baseball released some new dates and times for their fall ball scrimmages. They've got some fall ball games scheduled for October in that ballpark. So I don't exactly know if any of that is, I'm sure it's all subject to change. I don't know if any of it is going to have to change or not based on what went down over the weekend. But hopefully it's all good to go from there on out. I will do a little Cajuns here, and then I'll finish this segment going with just a quick thought on the Browns Deshaun Watson situation. Since you heard everybody talking about it, our ESPN update was focused on it as well, and then we'll get to the break. We'll get to Jay afterwards. Cajuns availability this afternoon. First off, injury updates. Shelton Sampson sounded like good news today. They said he's going to return to some team drills. Coach Des told us that. So they are continuing kind of the return to play protocol with him. He's had this really bad bone bruise in his knee. One of those things that's just kind of been lingering. Bone bruises, you've probably heard this adage before. Sometimes it's worse than breaking a bone because it's just difficult, the healing process. The Astros have had a couple of these bad bone bruises in the past few seasons where you hear it initially and you go, oh, the player's out with a whatever contusion. And you're like, well, why has he been out a month? Like, what's the deal? And sometimes it's a blood flow thing. I'm not a doctor, but that's what I've heard. So he's hopefully going to be back. They still sound very hopeful and optimistic that he'll be able to play week 1 against Lamar. Lamar, by the way, plays a week 0 game, as most of the Southland Conference does. McNeese, we know, is going to open up their season against Stephen F. Austin, the reigning Southland Conference champs. Lamar is going to open up their season against Abilene Christian, one of the new Southland Conference members, who actually was a playoff team last year. So, Lamar was a playoff team. Abilene Christian was a playoff team. Those two will go at it, and the Cajuns will have a chance to scout. And Coach Des was asked as well today, like, hey, is it more of an advantage for you to get to watch them have played a game, or is it more of an advantage for them to have played a game, right, when they come to Our Lady of Lourdes Stadium, a week from this Saturday, right? So about 12 days away. Hard to believe, by the way. That number just stuck in my brain when I said it just now. Actually, it's less than 12. It's 11, right? Because no, it's 12. Saturday to Monday. I'm good at math. We're sharp. We're sharp on a Monday. We're rocking and rolling. But anyway, and Coach didn't really have any strong opinions about it. He doesn't know what to make, but he said they are excited about the fact that they'll get to watch some film, have an idea of what kind of personnel they're going up against. Lamar has a ton of new players, and he was very complimentary of that program and what they built. And as I said, they were a playoff team in the FCS a year ago, so they do play at a lower level of competition, but they've been pretty good at that level for the last few seasons. So it should be a nice test for the Cajuns to start off the year. We know last year they did not play very well in their opener, and they ended up losing that game to the Rice Owls. So Shelton is getting back to work. They did have their last official scrimmage of the fall over the weekend. Brock Chappell got a little banged up, the number 2 tight end. They're hoping that that's not a long-term deal. They also had an injury to Broderick Stewart, a defensive lineman. That one, it sounded like they're a little bit more concerned about, but those two guys are seeing doctors in either today or tomorrow, and they will have more information on that in the near future. We, of course, had gotten some updates last week as well. So if Sampson's back in the mix at receiver, that is a good thing. But I will say, we've continuously, and I've made notes of who he's mentioned. There are 4 players at the receiver position, in addition to Shelton Sampson, that have gotten the mention. Now, I'm not counting Landon Struther in that group because he certainly would have been, but we know Struther is going to miss the first part of the season. Kadarius Wade, which is a name we've heard. He's been kind of a camp star in the past. It hasn't quite translated to game action, but he has been having a good camp so far. Trenton Chaney, local product, excited about the potential of him getting the football in his hands. Russell Babineau, same deal. A chance to have him, maybe put some things together. And I said local product on Cheney. I meant that about Babineau playing at Acadiana. Cheney, though, they like both of those players. They both play the same position. I think you're going to see them try to get the ball in their hands early in the season. The last name that we've heard, though, is maybe the most exciting and probably has the widest range of outcomes as well. That is a true freshman in Christian Brooks. He was mentioned in the first fall presser of the season. He has now been mentioned again yesterday as a player who continues to flash. So Christian Brooks is going to play for this Cajuns team at some point this season. I don't have any doubt in that. How significant is his role? How often do they try and draw stuff up for him? I don't know any of those answers, but I know they've really been impressed with him. He's a young player, but he's got a ton of talent, and he is going to work his way onto the field. Coach said it today, plain and simple. The guys who have earned playing time at receiver are going to be the ones that play. And he added on, the guys that they trust. And if they don't have trust in you, doesn't matter how thin the numbers are, right? That'll shrink the group that plays if that's the case. They're not going to put players out there that they don't think are ready to go and know their assignments and are going to do the right things consistently. The other name that popped up that I heard had a really nice scrimmage and has had a good camp is Anthony Reagan. Anthony Reagan's a player they brought in, played at the lower level, played at Howard, and I think we all kind of got excited about this because we knew they had some running back opportunities with the players who departed, Bill Davis, Alan Perry leaving in the portal. And then in the spring, I remember asking the coaching staff about Reagan, and there wasn't a whole lot to say. They were kind of like, yeah, he didn't have a great spring. We don't know what the role's going to be. Then turn around to the fall, and apparently it's one of those players who they gave a list of things that needed to get better from spring to fall, and he got to work. And so they said he's had a really nice fall. He showed out in the scrimmage a little bit. So Anthony Reagan is a name at the running back position to maybe add to that rotation of backs that you're thinking about. We know Stephen Blanco's going to play. We know Darrell Smith's going to play. We know J.J. Garner's going to play. Seems like Reagan could maybe be that fourth option. And look, on one hand, you might go, hey, do you really need 4 running backs that are all going to contribute? Like, we know they've had 3-headed monsters in the past. Have they ever had 4? Let's also remember just health, availability, the wear and tear at that position. It certainly does not hurt, I should say, to have more backs ready than just the 3 guys that you think you're going to count on. So sounds like Garner, Smith, Blanco, and maybe now Anthony Reagan is fully putting his name in the conversation of being a 4th option at the running back position. So that's a little bit of what we heard from the Cajuns presser today. As I said, more with Jay Walker on that in just a bit. We'll close this segment out. Like, Deshaun Watson got named the starter in Cleveland. I did see Deshaun Watson's press conference where he went after Browns fans for booing him in the preseason the other day. Yes, it appears to me to be incredibly out of touch. It's not only the off the field stuff. It's that, dude, you've just been bad at that position, okay? And the fan base in Cleveland that at least from afar, you can sit there and watch how bad they've been for so long. They finally sniffed it a little bit with Baker, right? They're like, maybe this is us. Playoff win, things of that nature. They move on. They sign this massive contract for Deshaun Watson to be their next guy, which at the time we could talk about the decision-making to bring him in the first place, give him all that guaranteed money. And then not only did you have this off-the-field, I shouldn't even just say incident, scandal that made you look like a very bad dude, and certainly a lot of people probably still have their mind made up on what kind of person he is, and I don't blame him for it at all. I'm with him. Then you've also been really bad. So in what world is it productive to go at them for booing you? When, I mean, maybe it's a lack of self-awareness, which clearly lack of self-awareness probably got him into some of these situations in the first place, but we won't go any further into that. Like, they're going to boo you. And you know what you have the opportunity to do now that you've been named the starting quarterback, which I know he wasn't officially named that at the time of that presser, but I'm sure he had a good idea. If you go out and play well, you're going to have a chance to kind of quiet some of those things. Now, it doesn't erase what he's done off the field, and so personally, I don't know if my own opinions about him are going to change, but like, what benefit? I always think that. What is to gain in each given situation when you go to the podium? I can guarantee Deshaun Watson one thing. Going to the podium and being condescending to the fan base for booing you was in no way going to make your situation any better. Sometimes I just don't feel like these players, coaches, whoever, thinks about what's to gain and what's to lose when they open up a mic and speak publicly. And that's what he did the other day. And then he got named the starting quarterback. So, I don't know. He looked better than Shedeur in the preseason from what I saw. Haven't been locked in on Browns camp day in, day out, so I don't know for sure, but I wasn't stunned that he was named the starter from a football standpoint. I was a little stunned that he had all that to say the other day. Just who is that serving to benefit? I'm not sure. But anyway, we'll take a break now. Our friend Jay Walker joins us to talk Cajuns and more after the break. It's the Lowdown.
This is the Lowdown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
It is nearly time to celebrate the tall, green, sweet sugar cane that has long been a part of the fabric of Southwest Louisiana. That's right, the Louisiana Sugar Cane Festival and Fair returns to New Iberia Friday, September 25th through Sunday, September 27th. The festival features the annual Blessing of the Crop, a carnival street fair, a 5K, a car show, parades, pageants, and live music with a Fay Dodo, featuring musical acts Clay Cormier, Bad Boys Band, Chris Ardwan, and more. For more information, visit www.highsugar.org today.
Make sure to set your alarm and tune in Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock for Sports Shorts here on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. Join me, Ronnie Rance, and the Sports Shorts team of Tommy Christsan, Hunter McCann, and the crazy man, Joel Davis, as we break down the sports and teams that you love. The LSU Tigers, New Orleans Saints, and everything in between. Tune in Saturday mornings from 10 to noon for Sports Shorts here on Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Did you know you can get great tasting Clear Springs artesian water delivered to your office or your doorstep at home? Clear Springs is 100% local with their own bottling facility at the world-famous Kentwood Aquifer, no chemicals added. Just pure Kentwood, Louisiana artesian water. Clear Springs Water offers delivery of 5 or 3-gallon water service with a hot and cold temperature water cooler or even single-serve bottles delivered to your home or office. Easy to reach, clearsprings.net, then contact us tab or 337-519-3563.
And now time for the Expert Minute, brought to you by Sugarland Exterminating.
Ever wonder why bugs seem to love your home as much as you do? One big reason: moisture. Roaches, termites, and ants are drawn to damp areas. Check under sinks, around windows, and in attics for leaks and excess moisture. A little home maintenance goes a long way in keeping pests out. Got unwanted guests? Call Sugarland Exterminating at 337-367-1414 or visit sugarlandexterminating.com for more information.
Sugarland Exterminating. Pest-free environment we're creating. Spiders, roaches, rats, and mice. Those awful termites are not so nice. Get rid of all your pests right now. Call Sugarland Exterminating.
Termites, they're here. They're invasive. They can destroy your home if left untreated. Sugarland Exterminating has been in business for over 50 years, and they have the experience to effectively treat termites. Call 367-1414 or visit sugarlandexterminating.com.
And that has been your Expert Minute, brought to you by Sugarland Exterminating.
What keeps you up at night? Do you wonder if what you've saved will be enough? If your money will go as far as you plan? Or whether your retirement will look the way you imagine? What worries you? Everyone's concern is different, but ignoring it won't make it disappear. This is Ron Paul. You may not be able to predict what comes next, but you can take steps now to diversify your savings with precious metals before uncertainty becomes urgency. My friends at Birch Gold Group will send you a free info kit explaining how gold can help diversify your IRA or 401k. Just text the word SECURE to the number 989898. There's no cost and no obligation. Just free information to help you consider your option. Take the first step with Birch Gold. Text the word SECURE to the number 989898.
Do yourself a favor and download the free ESPN Southwest Louisiana mobile app, powered by Moss Motors BMW for your Android or Apple devices. Download the app by searching ESPN 103.7 Lafayette or ESPN 104.1 Lake Charles. It's just that easy to take Southwest Louisiana's sports station with you wherever you go.
Back here on the Lowdown, our lone guest of the second hour today, our friend Jay Walker, the voice of Louisiana Raging Cajuns. Jay, how's your Monday?
My Monday is a Monday, honestly, but hey, we're going to get through it. And, dude, we're less than 2 weeks away.
I said that. I said 12 days, and then I went, wait, is it really 12 days? And I realized it is, which is incredible. For some, I mean, FCS game's on Thursday, so they're like 3 days away. We got a little bit more time than that. But, yeah, it was a Monday presser. You know, we got Coach McBride, Coach Christy Gray, Michael Decimo all in the building. It was like, yeah, I guess it's the fall.
Yeah, it was like old home week, right? And we got a chance to hear from all three of them. You know, one of them, the season has started. The second one, season starts this week. And then, of course, for the Cajun football team, a week from Saturday.
That is the case. And, you know, it's interesting too, Jay, like what's kind of already transpired with this receiver room. It's kind of been the talk of camp for the Cajuns because Sampson's been down and then Strother went down. And so, you know, but there are some names that have consistently been mentioned, and I made a note of it today. It's the third time, I think, that Coach Des has specifically said the names of Trenton Chaney, Russell Babineau, Kadarius Wade, and Christian Brooks. So sometimes we, you know, for whatever reason, we go into it kind of wondering who's it going to be. He's made it pretty clear that there's a handful of players who have stepped up at that position in camp, and so I guess for now I'm expecting to see those numbers out there along, hopefully, with number 6 at receiver.
Yeah, I agree with you, and you know there's I think a silver lining with the Sampson cloud because it gave some of these younger guys more reps, and perhaps they were able to get a little more ready more quickly. Now, you certainly don't want Sampson to miss any time, and it sounded today like he's not going to, that he'll be ready to go in 2 weeks. But there's, you know, there's a little gift wrap there for the guys who are trying to make an impression about these with these coaches, and that they've gotten a few more reps and more chances to shine, and some of them made the most of it.
I think maybe my favorite thing of this fall camp so far, and I'm knocking on wood here, so we're good on that front, is that we haven't really spent much time talking about the offensive line because last year it's seemingly an impossible number of injuries and setbacks and players having to step up, and names that weren't even listed on the 3 deep to start the year ended up starting games for this team. Everybody is seemingly healthy, and Coach Des today said there's 8 guys they really trust, and they're actually even maybe looking for the 9th or the 10th. That is a big difference from where we were a year ago at this point, and then, of course, once the season got going and they started dropping like flies.
I remember a former offensive line coach that we had, and for the life of me, I can't remember his name. He coached under Ricky Bussell. And he said, as an offensive line coach, you want a pair and a spare. So in other words, 2 tackles and a spare, 2 guards and a spare, a center and a spare. Well, that's 8. And so if you got 8 that can play, you're probably ready to start the season up front.
I do think the defensive line last year, you know, that's one area I felt like Jordan Lawson covered up for a lot of issues because I thought he had an unbelievable season, but I was constantly kind of waiting for that next guy to really flash consistently, and I don't know if I ever saw it. But the word in camp early has been that group has looked good. They've made plays in both scrimmages. Fitzgerald West, of course, back in the fold, some new names in there as well. If this team's defensive line play can be much more consistent and not relying on one player, who, by the way, isn't there anymore, so you can't rely on him, man, it feels like that could be a real strength that was, you know, at times, maybe not a weakness, but it certainly wasn't a strength.
During the summer, I kept hearing that the strength of this team on defense was going to be the line. And I kind of raised my eyebrows a little bit. But they've obviously performed well. And Coach Des talked today about, you know, being able to get a pass rush and get to the quarterback. The thing that Coach Des said today that really, I don't know, gave me a lift is how much he likes the linebacker room, because you really don't have a ton of experience there. And if this defense is going to be as good as Jim Salgado hopes it's going to be, they're going to need good linebacker play, and they're going to have some guys step up in the depth department to help stop the run, which has been a little bit of an issue for this defense really the last couple of years in some of the games that they've played.
Jay Walker is our guest, the voice of Louisiana Raging Cajuns. We're talking Raging Cajun football here on a Monday. Unique situation in that the Cajuns will play Lamar next week, but Lamar will have already played a game, and they, ironically enough, will have already played a conference game because the Southland gets going real early in that department. Coach was asked if it's maybe more of a benefit for Lamar to play a game or the Cajuns to have a game to scout off of. He didn't have, maybe a strong opinion one way or the other. But what do you make of the opportunity to see a team play a game and then have them come into your place for your season opener the week following?
I think it's a positive that you actually get to see video on what that team has. And it's not like they're going to open the season and be really vanilla because, as you mentioned, it's a conference game, and it's a team that knocked Lamar out of the playoffs last year. So they're going to be going all out to win that game, and you're going to get a chance to see personnel and things like that. There's also the other side of the pancake, and that's that most of the time you say your biggest improvement is from your first game to your second game. So Lamar will have a game under their belt. They're going to have an opportunity to fix some things that they see. And you figure in their second game, they're going to be better than they were in the first game. So I think it's a double-edged sword. I think there's good news and bad news with it. But the good news, and I'm going to harp on that, is at least you get a chance to look at their personnel and see what they like to do. And I think that helps you prepare in week one.
Next week will technically be game week. As we said, we will be previewing that matchup, and certainly we'll have a chance to look at what Lamar did. But so I want to ask you a big picture one before the season actually gets underway. I've really enjoyed watching the offseason that Lunch Winfield has had. Not only did he, announce his intentions to come back, of course he's had all the brand deal stuff going on. He's got a great name, and all that's been fun. But the leadership stuff that we've seen come out from him, talking to some of his teammates at media days and beyond. I even saw an event today. He's at, Jet Coffee at an event, and he's out there, interacting with the fans. It's just been a really fun offseason to watch all that stuff. And I know some of that gets thrown out the window once the ball gets kicked off and you got to deliver on the field. But what have you made of the offseason that Lunch Winfield in particular has had, showing his kind of leadership ability in addition to his talent at quarterback?
Well, if you're the quarterback and you're not a leader, that's not a good thing. Okay, I think that there used to be a thing, and of course you don't huddle much anymore, but it used to be the quarterback was the only person that was allowed to speak when the team huddled because he was the guy, he was the leader, he was everything when it came to a football team. It all started with the quarterback. And I think in a lot of cases it still does. And I remember when the Cajuns went 10-2 a couple of years ago, between Ben Woolridge and Chandler Fields, you had a load of leadership. And so the fact that Lunch has come out and said, yeah, I'm the quarterback, follow me, because he was the third team quarterback when the season started last year. That tells me that this team is ready to follow the leader, and that's going to be a good thing for this football program and this football team.
I was joking, and I referenced it on the show earlier, that you decided a long time ago not to watch televised football practice, and you're very happy about your decision, i.e. what the Saints did on Saturday. But I do want to ask, we've talked about it forever. Is it not still so strange that college football is seemingly the only level of football and one of the only sports in general that has no form of preseason exhibition games, and you're just expected to scrimmage yourselves and then line it up for real?
Yeah, because everybody else gets to do it. Soccer had the option of playing some exhibition games. They chose not to. Volleyball had a preseason friendly with LSU over the weekend. Basketball is going to have, they're going to have these, it's not going to be an exhibition game, but it's going to be a scrimmage where they keep scoring stuff against another team. Baseball gets to play 4 of them this fall, but college football doesn't get to play any. And it's crazy. I read a thing on social that 3 preseason games is too many. And I laughed because I remember, I'm old enough to remember, when the National Football League used to play 6 preseason games. And then they cut it to 4, and of course it's been at 3 the last couple of years. And, I used to get, when I did a radio show like you do every day, and talk about televised football practice, and, fans would get really upset with me because it was, we got a chance to watch football. Yeah, and teams that are in the NFL get to charge you full price for a home game that doesn't count. And I've never been one of those people that wants to put any kind of emphasis on the preseason. And when I quit having to talk to an audience every day about preseason, I made the decision then I wasn't going to watch it. When the season starts, I'll be watching on Sunday, and I'll be wearing black and gold, and I'll be all into it. But please don't try to make even a conversation with me about televised football practice. I'm not into it.
I am certainly okay with that. We'll close it, Jay. A pretty scary situation. I know now it's a little easier to make light of it because we know nobody was hurt or anything like that. But, I mean, what is your reaction to seeing the Teague up in flames on Friday afternoon and all the fallout? And, of course, Coach Deggs had to grab himself a hose and see if he could help out the situation.
Well, I'm pretty sure that the fire was caused by the number of candles on Coach Deggs' birthday cake because his birthday was the day before all of that happened. So I think that had a lot to do with it. No, I'm joking, tongue in cheek. You're fortunate. You were fortunate. There was really, nobody around. And you were able to, Coach Deggs went out there with the hose, but the fire department, of course, didn't take them long to put out the fire at all, but it was a bit of a scary situation. Could have been an awful lot worse than it was. And so glad that no one was injured, so glad that damage was kept to a minimum. And I say a minimum because, look, this time of year, and we got big rain that night, but if that didn't help what happened in the afternoon. And boy, pine needles, those things go up in flames in a hurry. And you've got trees planted all the way around that ballpark. So it was a good thing that it wasn't any worse than it was. You're going to have to replace the foul pole. You're going to have to do something about the old scoreboard. But all in all, it was a scary sight, but the sight, when you look at the big picture, was probably not as bad as it could have been. And, they'll get everything repaired that needs to be repaired and get ready to go. And I'll bet that I have left, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes before that fire broke out. And a lot of times, this time of year, I'll just walk over. Before I leave, I'll go over and I'll just walk through the ballpark just because. And I did not do that on Friday. But, yeah, that happened. That could have been a whole lot worse, Dawson.
I am with you on that. Here's to hoping that we have no such instances moving forward. And, Jay, the next time we talk, we will be previewing an actual football game that's going to actually happen, and that is exciting.
I'm actually going to watch a football game Saturday night because Lamar is going to be on TV, and it will be the first football that I have watched this year, and I'm looking forward to it.
There you go. Thanks as always, Jay.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me. Go Cajuns.
That's Jay Walker, the voice of the Cajuns, as we near closer and closer to football season. It's just about here. All right, we'll take a break now. We'll reset some things. We'll go back some last other thoughts on the Saints preseason debacle. Ironically enough, after we talked with Jay about the tongue-in-cheek jokes about how much the preseason does or doesn't matter. We'll revisit that for just a bit after this.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
This game isn't fun. This game is a war.
It's time for the 2-minute drill.
Hurry it up, hurry it up, hurry it up.
Powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you.
Come on, let's go, you guys. Get in here, we gotta go fast now.
The Houston Astros lost 2 out of 3 to the Athletics at home this weekend, dropping their record to 65-66. The lone win for Houston was on Friday, 4-0. Next up is a road series against the New York Yankees, and it won't begin until Tuesday evening. The New Orleans Saints lost their second preseason game 34-0 to the Los Angeles Rams inside SoFi Stadium. Nothing was executed correctly by the Black and Gold as they turned the ball over 4 times, including a pick 6, were penalized 12 times for 96 yards, and had just 13 first downs on the day. Speaking of the Saints, they traded linebacker Deion Jones to the San Francisco 49ers in exchange for running back Zamir White. History is likely to be made as Cleveland Browns tight end Daquan Wright was waived on Sunday. If he clears waivers, he will be the first pro player to return to college and would commit to play for the LSU Tigers, who are less than 2 weeks away from their season opener versus Clemson. Former LSU Tiger pitcher Cade Anderson made his major league debut for the Seattle Mariners on Saturday. The national champion southpaw allowed 5 hits, 3 runs, and struck out 5 in 5 2/3 innings on the bump. And Wyndham Clark won the BMW championship by finishing 17 under, 3 strokes better than Patrick Cantlay, who finished second. I'm James Mesh, and this has been your 2-minute drill on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana sports station, your home for the LSU Tigers and Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you. ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is the proud winner of 4 2026 LAB Prestige Awards, including Best Use of Digital Media, Foot's Friday Fury, Best Live On-Site Remote for our Super Bowl Radio Road coverage, Best Promotion for our No Shave November initiative, and Radio Young Professional of the Year for Dawson Iserloh. We're proud of being Southwest Louisiana's sports station and are humbled to be recognized by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters.
The best businesses aren't just businesses, they're neighbors. Here's a message from a proud certified South Louisiana business.
Bro Bridge Truck Stop Casino. They have the newest games around. Hot seat drawings and monthly specials like no one else. Located on the Bro Bridge Highway and on the banks of the Vermilion River. Come out today and try your luck at the Bro Bridge Truck Stop Casino.
When you support local businesses, you strengthen the communities we call home. Shop local, support local, certified South Louisiana.
Are your pipes giving you problems? Is that leaky faucet driving you crazy? Don't wait for a plumbing disaster. Call the experts at Ace Plumbing, your trusted local plumbers for over 30 years. At Ace Plumbing, we do it all. Clogged drains, water heater repairs, pipe replacements, and more. With decades of experience, we deliver fast, reliable, and affordable solutions for your home or business.
Ace Plumbing fixed my burst pipe in no time, and the price was great. They're the only plumbers I trust.
From small leaks to big emergencies, Ace Plumbing is just one call away. We're available 24/7 because plumbing problems don't wait. Call Ace Plumbing today at 337-565-2519 or visit us online at aceplumbinginc.com. That's 337-565-2519.
Ace Plumbing, your personal plumber. Let us give you a hand.
Your Honor, I would like to introduce exhibit number 1.
MeTV is America's #1 classic television network.
There can only be one #1, me.
MeTV features over 60 of the greatest classic TV series each week.
Go with the winner.
Enjoy dramas, comedies, westerns, sci-fi, and more.
You just watch me.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
MeTV is memorable entertainment television.
Hi, I'm Nancy Landry.
No matter what part of our great state you call home, Louisiana's elections are an important part of who we are. In 2026, closed party primaries will change how some of those elections happen, so you'll want to know what to do. Keeping your registration current ensures you'll get the right party-based ballot. Remember, this change only applies to certain offices.
To learn more, visit govote.com or download the GoVote app.
Paid for by the Louisiana Secretary of State's office.
This is ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, broadcasting live from the Beal and Hebert studios in Upper Lafayette. Beal and Hebert, Acadiana's hometown lawyers. Back to more of Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Do have a little bit of semi-breaking news, I guess you could say, about the Saints. It's not good news. It's on the injury front. We know it's been, a fairly rough camp as far as injuries are concerned with everything we've already learned about Brzee and others. But sounds like Ty Chandler, who was actually a nice little story in camp. Ty Chandler had a nice, stretch there. He looked pretty good in the preseason. Then, kind of like everything in that Rams game, it started to look a little bit more poor. And Chandler was part of that as well. He did have 6 carries for 21 yards in the game, but he was the one who fumbled at the 2-yard line when the Saints had a chance to go in and score there against the Rams. So that was a bad moment for him, but unfortunately the news got a little bit worse, perhaps after the fact. So Nick Underhill reporting that Ty Chandler suffered a knee injury against the Rams. It is feared to be serious, going through the process now, but the expectation is that he will be down for a while. So that does maybe even add further context to the Zamir White trade. Saints traded Deion Jones for Zamir White, so they have added him to the running back room. And so if Ty Chandler is going to be out for a considerable amount of time, that maybe is just another reason why they decided to solidify the running back room. So already Kamara down a little while. Now Ty Chandler as well, who, we didn't think was going to play a major role in this team, but certainly had a shot to make the roster, maybe be a special teamer, situational back, and maybe play a little more when Kamara was out, to start the year if Kamara does, in fact, miss game time, which it appears he's going to. So that might add a little bit more context to what they learned. By the way, I kept saying early in the show that they didn't attempt any kicks. That is on me. Shout out to my guy Mike on Twitter for bringing it to my attention. The Saints missed the field goal on the last drive. That was Tanner Brown. And I did respond to him, and this was not joking or anything like that. I had decided to go ahead and enjoy my Saturday by the time the last drive rolled around. I had suffered through about 2 hours and 40 minutes worth of it, and I said, all right, this is it. Then when I saw that they didn't score, I just assumed that there weren't any kicks attempted, but they did attempt a kick, and they missed it, and that is, I don't know if that's part of the, I guess, sure, it's probably part of the reason they brought Daniel Carlson in. Still waiting for some sort of official announcement, whether we're going to get one or not, I don't know about today. But whether or not they are going to, have a corresponding move there, if they're going to release either Smith or Brown to make space for Carlson, not sure. But as of now, we do know that they have signed him, and he is going to be in the mix at least for now. The only other thing I said I had, one or two more thoughts on this game. The only other thing I want to mention is I do have, I don't know if confidence is the word. I am intrigued and excited about the potential of this defensive line. Even with the Brzee injury, we've had some time to fully digest that one, see the other names in this room. They've played a lot of, a lot of the preseason games so far. The two that we've seen haven't been necessarily your number one, rotation pieces anyway. But we were all concerned at times last year with the Saints' ability to defend the run. And Brandon Staley's system, I was always going to give him some time to kind of figure some of this stuff out with this group and this personnel. Changing from a 4-3 to a 3-4, depending on the moves you're able to make personnel-wise, can be a slower process at times. And so I was going to give him a little bit of leeway with that. There were some things that were concerning last year. Demario Davis, which I saw him in a Jets uniform over the weekend, that was a jump scare. Although I guess it shouldn't be because he played there before, but it's just like man. There he is, not in a Saints uniform. Tough to swallow, but it is what it is. I saw a piece written today about Pete Werner, and that is a player on this thing. Maybe he fits the under-the-radar mold. I've really been enjoying asking each of our Preview 32 guests for the most important player on the roster and then the under-the-radar player. I don't know if he qualifies under either, because is he that under the radar as a starting linebacker, and is he the most important player on the team? Probably not. But I do think the Saints' level of success this season could have a big thing to do with how Pete Werner plays that linebacker spot. Like, that is someone that they are just going to have to get it from. And it's always been on the borderline with him. There's been a handful of moments where I've been ready to go all in on Pete Werner, and I'll admit there's been a handful of moments where I've been ready to just cut bait and be done with him. Do we get a fusion of that? Is there finally like a consistent level of play where Pete can help you and be really, really good for an entire season? In some ways, he doesn't really have that much of a choice, all right? He's got young players around him. Now, he does have Caden Ellis, who they brought in for a reason, and so it's not all on him, but I just get the feeling, and it's also a now or never moment for him as well. I think that's fair to say. When you take a look back at the career so far, and you talk about the age and like where he's at in this thing, Pete Werner is 27. So age-wise, he's right in theory in that prime of a career that we discuss. And he's entering now year number 6. That's one of those years where I think you could probably pretty confidently say if it doesn't happen in year 6, it's not going to happen, okay? 81 tackles last year. He's been at least 80 in each of the last 4 seasons. He did have a career-high 2 sacks last season as well and 3 fumble recoveries, so statistically he was more present. But I just don't know if you really felt that impact week in and week out. I'm hopeful that this is a year where that can all kind of come to fruition, and maybe he understands and he's learned from DeMario and he steps into a little bit more of a leadership role and can kind of get a little bit closer to that player we thought he could be as a second-round pick back in the 2021 NFL draft. So Pete Werner is officially one of those names that I want to keep a little bit closer eye on early in the season and go, hey, are we starting to see signs that this player can be who he needs to be for the Saints defense to live up to its potential? All right, we'll do this. We'll take a break. We do have Monday Movers coming back, which, by the way, we didn't have last week since I was out, so first time in a couple weeks. We'll do that. We will update you on the poll. We'll get you set up for AFR and break anything else if it comes across the desk. This is the LohDown. It's a Monday. Hanging out with us here, ESPN Southwest Louisiana Sports Station.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
The Gaydon Duck Festival returns August 27th through the 30th. That, of course, gets going in just a few days here. The festival highlights the hunting heritage of the Acadiana region and offers great entertainment with its duck and goose calling contest, skeet shooting, dog trials, duck dash, and decoy carving. That's like the 5 Ds of dodgeball right there. In addition to great food and drinks, there'll be a variety of musical acts performing, including Wayne Toops and Zyda Cajun, Gino Delafosse and French Rock and Boogie, and Tracy Bird. Make sure to head down to the Duck Capital of America for the Gaydon Duck Festival. For more information, visit www.duckfestival.org today.
Delta Media is your home for Friday Night Football. STM on ESPN 103.7, North Vermilion on 106.3 Lafayette, Catholic High of New Iberia on Mustang 107.1 FM, St. Landry Parish Game of the Week on Z105.9, LRCA on News Talk 98.5 FM, and Barb on ESPN 104.1. Listen to the games on the radio or on each station's free mobile app. Delta Media has you covered for thrilling Friday Night Football.
It's a great time to get out on the water, and Black's has you covered. Black's Outdoor Marine is Acadiana's Tohatsu Outboard and Low Boats headquarters. Tohatsu Outboards are reliable, affordable, and backed by a 5-year warranty. Black's has low-interest financing and can handle your outboard or mud motor repair. Stop by 1423 Northwest Evangeline Thruway in Lafayette or call 337-233-4272. That's 337-233-4272. Black's Outdoor Marine, serving Acadiana since 1968.
Oh, look who's here.
Everybody Loves Raymond is on MeTV.
Who told you that?
Raymond!
America's #1 classic TV network.
Nothing even comes close.
Enjoy 2 back-to-back episodes every weeknight.
We're doing it twice.
Watch Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah, it's all about you, Raymond.
Weeknights starting at 8 on MeTV.
Watch Meet TV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on Channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
Hi, I'm Nancy Landry. No matter what part of our great state you call home, Louisiana's elections are an important part of who we are. In 2026, closed party primaries will change how some of those elections happen, so you'll want to know what to do. Keeping your registration current ensures you'll get the right party-based ballot. Remember, this change only applies to certain offices.
To learn more, visit GoVote.com or download the GoVote app.
Paid for by the Louisiana Secretary of State's office.
What is dementia? Is it the same as Alzheimer's? What is vascular dementia, Lewy body, FTD, TBI, and CTE? If someone has memory loss, does that mean they have dementia? Millions of Americans ask these questions every day. I did too, and I learned. My wife Ginny developed dementia. I didn't know what to do or what was coming next. I'm Kevin Jameson, volunteer and president of the Dementia Society of America. I'm excited to offer you a free guide to understanding dementia. It's filled with facts about dementia, care planning, how doctors can help, and ways to keep your brain as healthy as possible. The Dementia Society of America is a national nonprofit, and we're ready to answer your questions. You want to live life to the fullest. I know that. Ginny did too, and I'm confident that we can help. Get your copy of the guide. Go to 1-800-DEMENTIA.org or call 1-800-DEMENTIA. Thank you.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Monday. Is it really Monday already? Plenty of things in the sports world have been on the move in the past week. Question is, have they been moving up or moving down? D-Loh is here to evaluate. It's time for Monday Movers on the LohDown.
It is Monday Movers. We didn't have one last week. I was out, so we get to have one now with Monday Movers. We start with the Houston Astros. Not good news. One thing that's moving down the number of people employed by the Astros, at least by the day. Joe Espada reportedly has been informed that he will not have a job past this season. He was given the opportunity to finish out the season if he wanted to, and reports are that he has chosen to do so. So it sounds like Espada will be sticking around, but only for the rest of the season. The Astros expected to make a move there, at least according to reports, in the offseason, which, again, it's a tough spot, I think, to put a manager in. I've never been a fan of the idea of, quote-unquote, a lame duck manager or coach. Maybe one of the most famous, well, I shouldn't say famous, but like the thing that I always bring to mind is Tulane basketball back in the day. Had a coach named Ed Conroy, who, coincidentally enough, I played travel baseball with his son, but that's not part of the story. That's just an extra anecdote. Anyway, Tulane had a rough season, and it comes out, it gets leaked essentially at the start of the conference tournament. I think they were still in Conference USA at the time, that Tulane's not going to bring Conroy back after the year. So he's going to coach the conference tournament, and then that's going to be it. And then lo and behold, Tulane, who was a low seed, again, they didn't have a great season, starts winning games in the conference tournament with all this weirdness going on where he's getting asked in every post-game interview, like, hey, you're not coming back. Like, what's the deal? And there's kind of conflicting reports about whether he was told about it or whether or not it just leaked without his knowledge. And they kept winning, and they kept winning, and they kept winning. And they made it all the way to the conference championship game. And so now you're in this incredible weird spot where you're like, well, wait a minute. If he pulls off this miraculous run and they win the conference tournament and go to the NCAA tournament, like, then what? Are they still firing him? Like, what is going to happen? They lost the game and they still fired him and they moved on. But it was just one of those things. It's like, why even let it be possible that it's going to get leaked out? And I guess sometimes you have to make decisions behind the scenes, and people are going to have knowledge of it. So sometimes leaks are going to happen. But my bigger point is, then all right, then just have him, just remove him before that. So that would be my lot. If the Astros are done with Joe Espada, now I understand the idea of going to him and saying, hey, we have a lot of respect for what you've done for the organization. We don't want to kind of upend you at the end of the season or whatever. So they gave, I guess, a spot of the choice, and he's choosing to stay. But what if they make a run? And I mean, I got asked this question earlier. What if they make a run? They are still in first place in the division as of today. I know it's hard to believe, and I sit there and look at the standings too. The AL West is terrible this year. But the Astros are still in first place via the tiebreaker over the Rangers right now. So if they make a run here and they win a playoff series or two, you're still going to fire him? And you might say, yep, they're still going to fire him. And that might be the case. But what if you get hot and win the whole thing? Which might sound crazy to say. And like I go back to that Tulane situation. If Tulane would have, if you sat there and said, well, what if Tulane gets hot and goes on a run and wins the whole tournament? Well, the conference tournament, yeah, they almost did that. The NCAA tournament, well, we know they weren't going to do that. It's March Madness. You're not going to have a team come out of nowhere and win the whole championship. But it's not all that different from the Ryan Day thing, where they're like, oh, they're going to fire him. Are they not? Well, they'll see. They're going to reevaluate. And then he won the national championship. And they're like, well, I guess they're not firing him now. So you're at least opening yourself up to that whole can of awkwardness. So that's why I'm just not a huge fan of making this gray area thing. I love the idea of saying, hey, we have a lot of respect for Joe Espada, so we want to do right by him. We want to give him the opportunity to finish this thing out if that's what he wants to do. But then don't let it leak at all that you're going to move on from him after the season. And maybe that was just impossible because of the GM move they made and all those changes. So anyway, that is a drawn-out first iteration here of Monday Movers. The thing that's moving up on a Monday is the number of kickers in the building for the Saints, at least as of now. He's told you Daniel Carlson brought in. So still Tanner Brown, Charlie Smith on the roster as of now, as far as I know. That could change any minute now. So the Saints now have 3 of them. Can any of them make kicks at any sort of successful high rate of competency? That remains to be seen. But the Saints do officially have 3 kickers in the building, at least as of now. And what's also moving up is the number of former NFL players playing college football. It appears like Daquan Wright's going to be eligible and good to go for LSU. Jack Pyburn, maybe a couple more hurdles to clear, but that one's possible as well. There are other guys that are going to go to other schools that are not LSU that are going to play as well that played in NFL preseason games. So we have a first for everything. As I said before, it's not that this all of a sudden is going to become the norm. As a matter of fact, we're pretty certain that it is not, but it is a first. There are pictures and videos, and then the weird thing with Daquan Wright is all this stuff kind of broke late last week. And then he played in another Browns preseason game, showed up for warm-ups and was like out there ready to play. And they cut him after the fact. It was just a weird situation, and it still is. And apparently he's going to be suiting up for Lane Kiffin and the Tigers this year. He had some big plays, by the way, in the college football playoff. You can go back. Daquan Wright had some big ones for Ole Miss in the CFP last year. All right, that'll do it for us here on a Monday on the LohDown. Appreciate you for joining us. Thank you to our guests as well. We started it off with another edition of Preview 32. Jake D-Loh previewing the season for the Carolina Panthers. Then we had Jay Walker on to talk Raging Cajun football and a little bit about, obviously, the crazy story with the fire that happened at the Teague last week. So appreciate Jay for stopping by. That'll be his normal Monday time slot, by the way, throughout not only football season, but all through the academic calendar. As long as the Raging Cajuns are playing sports, Jay will be joining us just about every Monday. May have a couple exceptions in there. So we will have another normal show tomorrow, 1 to 3. As I said, pretty normal week. Nothing, not a whole lot of moving pieces here as we get closer and closer to the football season. Tomorrow on the show, we've already got our friend Bryce Kuhn coming back for more college football talk. And we will have Preview 32s every day this week. A couple of them, I think, at least every day as well. So looking forward to that. Until then, enjoy the rest of your Monday. It is certainly hot, so try and stay cool. AFR, Matt Moscona is coming up next. You're listening to ESPN 103.7 in Lafayette, 104.1 in Lake Charles. We are Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Oh, look who's here.
Everybody Loves Raymond is on MeTV.
Who told you that?
Raymond!
America's number